My name is 𝗙𝗍 𝗙𝗶𝗍, and I'm co-chair of the Scholarship Committee for Concord Alumni Chapter. So we will begin this program with a welcome from our chapter president, 𝗙𝗍 𝗙𝗶𝗍.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for your presence here with us tonight for our FAFSA and financial aid workshop. By providing financial aid assistance, educational institutions give students the opportunity to reach and complete their higher education. At the same time, providing aid can also be a way to inspire students to become philanthropic once they become established professionals. This is a great opportunity this evening for our parents, our guardians, and our students. I hope you all take plenty of notes because you will receive a wealth of information. Thank you so much to our scholarship committee for having the foresight to provide this opportunity for us. Again, thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you for that welcome, 𝗙𝗏 𝗙𝗶𝗹. If you all missed our last workshop, we had a previous workshop where we talked about scholarships. And if you missed that, it is on our chapter YouTube page. So if you missed it, please go and take the time to review it. It was a wealth of information that was given on that day. And then also I would like to give just a little heads up about, we have our scholarship also is posted on our chapter website, our annual scholarship. So if you know a graduating senior in the Concord area or Cabarrus County area, please direct them to our scholarship on our website as well. Tonight we will have two panelists. Our first panelist will be Timeka Ruffin. Timeka Ruffin is employed by College Foundation as a regional manager for the College and Career Information Service, College Foundation of North Carolina, CFNC.org. She has worked at the foundation for 15 years, and she also previously worked at public and private institutions in the areas of financial aid, admissions, and residence life. She attended the University of North Carolina at Charlotte for undergraduate study and the University of North Carolina at Greensboro for her graduate study. She is a member of the North Carolina Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators. Timeka makes presentations and conducts trainings related to careers, financial literacy, and how to plan, apply, and pay for college across the state of North Carolina. She will also be assisted by Tanger Young, who is also co-chair of our scholarship committee for Concord Alumni Chapter. Tanger Young is employed by the South Carolina State University as the Director of Financial Aid. She has worked for South Carolina State University for 5 years, previously worked at Livingstone College for 11 years as Assistant Director of Financial Aid, and 13 years at Barber Scotia College in various positions in financial aid, lastly as Assistant Director. She is a cum laude graduate of Barber Scotia College, and she's a member of the South Carolina Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, Commission of Higher Education of South Carolina Financial Aid Advisory Committee, member of the South Carolina Public Universities Financial Aid Directors Team, and previously member of North Carolina Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators. Tanger is a hands-on, results-driven financial aid professional with over 31 years of experience who loves to help students and parents achieve their college goals. So with that being said, I will turn this over to Timeka Ruffin. Thank you so much, Timeka.
Thank you, Ms. Dale. And I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen so you guys can see some of my information. Thank you again to everybody for joining. They told you a little bit about who I am. Hopefully this information will be helpful for you as you are starting a journey or in the journey, wherever you are in your process. As you mentioned, I do work for College Foundation of North Carolina, so I want to be sure that a lot of the information is going to be on our actual website. It is free, and anybody can take advantage of it, whether or not you plan to go to college, in state or out of state. All the information is free. So definitely visit CFNC if you haven't already. A lot of really, really great information. So one of the things I always kind of like to try to give people steps, because I know that that makes it a little bit easier to get your get where you are, figure out where you are in the process. I think step one for me when it comes to getting money for college, planning for the college process is making sure that you understand how much it costs to go to the schools that you're thinking about going to. So these are the main items that I do want you to pay attention to. So regardless of the school, as you're looking at their admissions information, I want you to go on over to their financial aid page and kind of see what the tuition and fees and all of that is. So the things I have in red are going to be the most important because they're going to be the things you're going to get a bill for. So I always say, if nothing else, you want to make sure you have enough money to cover these items. If you're going to a 2-year school or a 4-year school, you do have to pay for the classes, which is what the tuition and fees are. And then obviously, if you're living on campus, then you also have to pay for room and meals. So these are the most important things. So as you're talking to the schools, be sure that you understand what the cost is for a year. If you're planning to attend that school and be a full-time student. Then the other expenses that are on here are not necessarily things you're going to get a bill for, but things that I definitely want you to know the expenses for. So for books and supplies, obviously, because you, when you're in college, you do have to purchase your books. On average, students probably spend about $500 to $800 per semester for their books, but it honestly depends on your major and how many books you need for the classes that you need to take. But that's on average where we are with books. The other expense you want to keep in mind is going to be transportation. So whether or not you are planning to go out of state or a good distance away from home, you definitely want to consider transportation costs. Are you going to take your car if you have a car? If you're not going to take a car, how am I going to get around the school? Most colleges and universities have public transportation options, so that's not an issue, but they're not always free. So you do want to be sure that you understand what are the public transportation options and how much does it cost to get like a pass to be able to use their public transportation options? If you're not going to take a car, you're going out of state, what's the average cost for bus, plane, train tickets, right? To be able to go from your home to wherever that school is, if it's a good distance. If you do have a car, on a lot of the state schools, they do require that a student has a parking permit. And on average right now, parking permits are about $400 to $500 a year. For most schools. And so you'll want to keep in mind that if you do have a car and you decide to park on campus, you have to purchase that parking permit. The other things are going to be personal and miscellaneous expenses. These are the things that I don't think people think about probably enough. So, with colleges, a lot of people think that, the college is going to provide certain living things for you to live with. Really, the only thing the college provides for you when you're living on campus is a bed and a dresser and a closet, right? Everything else you have to bring with you. So all the bathroom items, all the laundry items, all of those are up to you to make sure you're supplied throughout the year to have everything that you need to be able to live. So I always tell people to keep in mind, what are those things? Like start paying attention to what are those things that you use every day, all those everyday items, they definitely add up. That's things from towels to sheets to whatever it is you use at home that you don't even think about. Those are the things you have to think about when you're living on a college campus. And then the other expense is going to be possible health insurance. All the 4-year colleges do require that if you live on campus, you do have to be covered under some type of health insurance. If you're not covered under any type of health insurance, then the college will charge you for their health insurance plan. So you just be sure that you are able to show them that if you have health insurance, you're able to show them. You don't have to worry about any additional expense. But if you're not covered, then the college, when you get your bill, they'll also charge you for health insurance. But these are things I want you to know first. When you're thinking about paying for college and getting money for college, it's important first to know how much is this college and what are all the expenses that we need to be able to cover. This is kind of on the average what we have in North Carolina for most of our different types of schools. So I wanted to give you an idea on average. So we're looking at all of those expenses before. This is what it is on average for most of our state schools to live on campus, be a full-time student. This is on average what it is for community college to be a full-time student, for books and supplies and all of that. That's on average. So we have them in the middle because they shine like the star they are. It's like how affordable they are. And then private schools on average are about 47. That's probably going to be the average too for out-of-state schools. So if you're thinking about going to a school that's not in your state, you're looking at on average anywhere between about $35,000 to $50,000 a year for an out-of-state school. But this is kind of give you an idea of what the average expenses are for all of those things that I mentioned before. I always like to try to anytime I can, throw in some money savings tips, like how can I save money in this process? We hear a lot of questions, probably our number one question that we get is how can I save money when it comes to going to college? I always tell people to be sure that you are taking advantage of all the opportunities you have at your local community college while you're in high school. A lot of high schools now have, there are early college high schools. Let's start there. There are early college high schools that if you're attending that, that's already a wonderful thing. But if you're not attending an early college high school, there's still opportunities for you to be able to take college courses for free while you're in high school. So they have dual enrollment programs. They have the Career and College Promise programs. They're the most popular programs that students take advantage of. And taking college classes while you're in high school, it's like giving yourself a scholarship, right? Because most of the time, one class at a four-year school is about $800 to $1,000 for one class. If I was to take that one class in high school for free, I've already given myself a scholarship for $800 to $1,000, right? So you've already kind of taken advantage of that. So it's a way to give yourself a scholarship. The other thing is that a lot of students are thinking about the transfer option now because people are realizing that it saves a lot of money. So when they graduate from high school, they go straight to the community college, they stay there for 2 years, and then they transfer on to their four-year institution. And so what we find for families that do that, they save anywhere between $30,000 to $35,000. One of the reasons why they're saving so much is because they are not paying for room and board. So that means they're not paying to be able to live and eat on a college campus for 2 years. Most of the time when you get your bill from a college, that's going to be the most expensive thing you're paying for is to live and eat there. So you're not having to pay that for 2 years, you're just paying for classes. And then classes are significantly cheaper at a community college than they are at a four-year school. Community college classes are about $200, whereas again, one class at a four-year school is about $800 to $1,000. So when you're looking at ways of what you can do to try to save money and preparing for the paying for college part, think about this as an option. It's a way for you to kind of do your own part to save money without relying on a lot of institutional money. Another kind of money saving tip I like to give to North Carolina families in particular is that North Carolina does have a program called North Carolina Promise. So when people ask me, like, what are the most affordable schools in the state of North Carolina? I'm always going to give you these 4 schools on the right, because part of the North Carolina Promise program is that students that go there, they're paying $500 per semester for their tuition. So they're paying $1,000 a year for their classes. And then they're, of course, still paying for room and meals. That's kind of significant because at most four-year institutions, tuition and fees at minimum are about $5,000 to $6,000, right, per year. So at these schools, their tuition is set at $500 per semester. So the 4 schools that are a part of that right now are Elizabeth City State, UNC Pembroke, Western Carolina, and now Fayetteville State. So if you're looking at the most affordable four-year institutions in our state, I always tell people to start there because they have the lowest tuition currently. And then I heard, I mentioned earlier that there was a scholarship workshop, so hopefully most of you attended that as well, or you're going to go back and look over that. These are just places I kind of like, the top 4 places I like to tell people to make sure they cover. The scholarships are pretty broad, so I just like to make sure that you at least cover all of your bases. Local things will be at your high school, so pay attention to how scholarship information is distributed. If you are planning to go to school in state, definitely go to CFNC because we house all of the state-based scholarships, meaning that one of the requirements says, in order to get this scholarship, you have to go to college in North Carolina. If you know that's you, CFNC is great. Of course, all the individual colleges offer scholarships, and then you can do your own, of course, searches on your own. I do tell people that they do have apps now, just like they have apps for everything else. You can download scholarship apps on your smartphones. Just go to your app store, type in scholarship apps, and you can download the apps. Some of them are free to download. Some of them may cost $1 or $2. I always do tell people if they have a website listed, you can probably just go to their website for free without downloading the app, but you can download the app if that's easier for you. If you are thinking about going to an HBCU, I always recommend students look at uncf.org because they are great. Have a lot of scholarships for students who are thinking about going to an HBCU. And also, I just tell students to use Google. I think that's just a great way to do searches for national scholarships, but I'm sure they cover a lot of this in the previous workshop. So again, go back and listen to that if you haven't, or if you have, kind of get your information from that too. I always like to let people know too, because a lot of people feel like that a lot of students are in college are not having to apply for financial aid. One of the things that we found is that 4 out of every 5 college students rely on some type of financial aid. So most people are not there just writing checks. So when people feel like they can't afford it, or I wonder if I can go, most students are on some type of financial aid. So there are resources available to help you pay for the college process, whether or not it's a 2-year experience or the 4-year experience. Just making sure you kind of understand exactly what financial aid is, because I mentioned that and people say that. Financial aid is basically assistance that they're trying to give you to help pay for school. It doesn't always guarantee that they're going to pay for 100% of what you need for your college experience, but they're trying to assist you, right, with the process. These are typically the types of financial aid that students are offered, so just want you to be familiar with this. They're going to try to offer you scholarships through the financial aid process. So the scholarships I showed you before are scholarships you have to apply for separately. So there are separate applications for those. Through the financial aid process, you fill out one application and you're applying for these scholarships that are offered through this process. You're also being offered grants, which are like scholarships, but they do not look at necessarily at your grades or things like that. They're primarily looking at your family's financial need. And sometimes it's based on a major, but most of the time they're pretty general. But those are the 2 types of free things that they're considering you for through financial aid. They also have some options to kind of help you. They call them self-help financial aid. So there are also going to be loan options, which means that they'll let you borrow money to help pay for school, and you pay that money back when you graduate. They have employment options, meaning that they will offer you a part-time job, which they call work study, where students can earn money to help pay for school. And then obviously, of course, families that may have saved for college can use some of their college savings money to help pay for school. These are kind of the common terms that you're going to hear when people mention financial aid. So where does the money come from when we're talking about financial aid? This is where the money comes from. So students typically fill out what they call a FAFSA application, which I'll show you that in just a second, which is that one application I was talking about. When you fill out the FAFSA application, you are applying for all of the things that are listed here. So you're applying for federal money. You're applying for money through your state. So if you live in North Carolina, you're applying for North Carolina's money. And then you're also applying for money directly through that institution. So whatever that school is that you're thinking about going to, you're also applying for money through that particular school. So that's where the money is coming from when people say financial aid money. These are the sources that money is coming from. And then this is the application, right, that students fill out for. So you're applying for your separate individual scholarships. But this one application that we call the FAFSA, which stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, this is where you go to apply for all of those things I just showed you. Now, there's not an application by state. There's not one by college. Everybody in the US comes to this website. And this is where they apply for financial aid. There's a section on the site that will ask you what colleges do you want to have it sent to. And you can list up to 10 different colleges. Most students who are going through this process are considering several schools at one time, and which I encourage you to do that. And so you're able to list all those schools, and then they send your information to all of those individual schools, and they let you know what you've been offered through the financial aid process. So it sounds pretty easy. You come here, fill out the application, answer the questions, submit it to the schools. With the 4-year institutions, you do have to have been admitted. So 4-year colleges typically don't give full offers to you until you've been admitted to the college. So that means that most of the time, students are applying for the colleges first, right? and then they're also going to apply for financial aid. The financial aid application opens up October 1st of every year. So students don't start filling it out until October 1st at the earliest of their senior year. So right before you're about to go off to college, that October before that, your first year of college is when you fill out the application or when you can start. If you get admitted to that four-year institution, they'll give you a financial offer. With community colleges, you don't have to be admitted. Everybody's admitted to community college. So you just put that community college on the application, they send it to that financial aid office at the community college, and they'll give you an offer if you register for classes there. So this is the application, right? That's the main one you want to know about. Some of the things that people ask me as far as, what information do you need? The information currently that you need, it kind of looks like this. They are going to ask you some basic information about your household. They're going to ask you about how many people in your household, if your parents are separated or married. They're also going to ask you about the income of your household. That's a big part of the application is your income. It's usually based off of the prior year. So that means you're going to be applying for financial aid your senior year of high school. You are pretty much providing them the income from that prior year. So seniors this year are providing the information from 2021, right? I have to remember what year we're in, 2021. So that prior year's information. One of the things you'll hear me keep saying is for this current year, something that's happening that is a little bit different. So I can't really talk a whole bunch about the form as much as I usually do, because they are doing a big change to the application for students who will be applying for financial aid this coming up fall. So the financial aid application will still be the same website that you're going to be going to fill it out, but it's not going to look the same way that it does right now. We haven't seen all of the questions that they're going to ask, but it is going to be a little bit different. We're hoping it's going to be a little bit less questions for you, so you won't have to answer. Currently, there's a little bit over 100 questions on the application. On average, it probably takes people about 20 to 30 minutes to fill out the financial aid application. So maybe it will be short and just a little bit better for you. But just wanted to let you know that it will be the same type format, though. You'll be answering questions about yourself and your household. They'll ask you some income information about your family, and then you'll fill it out. So just to kind of give everybody a heads up, it is going to look different. So I'm not showing you a lot of the actual form for this year because it is going to look very different in the fall. So I wanted you to at least be able to know exactly where to go to, though. The website that you go to is going to be the same, and you'll be answering questions about your household and your household income. So once you kind of have filled out the application, one of the things that this is what it looks like when they give you offers. So when you start to get financial offers from colleges, let's say you've been admitted to some of those four-year institutions, they start sending you financial aid offers to say, this is what we can offer you to come here, and this is what you're doing them for. This is what 4 out of 5 college students do them for, because they want to get a financial offer from that school that will help them be able to attend their college, right? This is what they typically look like online. They're usually an online offer. You have the option to accept or decline anything that you've been offered, but they'll give you the offer. And usually how kind of the timeline of this works is that most students, and they're really good students, they're going to fill out their financial aid application in the fall. So usually between October and December, they'll fill out their financial aid application for their college. You get admitted to the school, typically they'll send your financial aid offer to you around February or March. So that's usually when you start to get offers from school. So that's kind of the timeline of how it works. So usually in the spring, so right now, seniors are in school right now, they're waiting to get those financial offers from those colleges to see who gave them the best financial offer to go there. And this is why I like for students to apply to multiple schools, because although you are filling out this one application, each college is different as far as what they can offer you directly from their school. So you are going to be considered for federal money. You're going to be considered for state money, but you're also being considered for institutional money. And that can be very different from school to school. So I like for students, especially if you're thinking about going straight to the four-year school, that you apply to at least 3 to 5 different colleges, at least. I usually recommend that students who do very well academically, that you apply to at least 5 to 10 different colleges. And the reason why I say that is because, again, every school is going to offer you something different. And your goal in this process is to go to whatever school gives you the best financial offer. It's almost like you're saying, you know, athletes do this automatically because they go to colleges that give them an opportunity to play, and they're going to give them money to play. Students who are not expecting athletic scholarships, that's your goal also, is to go to the school that gives you the best financial offer. And so what you do is you'll list on the college. Remember, I said you can list up to 10 different colleges on the FAFSA application. So you list all those colleges, you apply to those schools. And let's say you get admitted to all 10. That means all 10 of those colleges are going to send you a separate financial aid offer. You're going to compare them and say, who got the closest to how much does it cost to go to this school for a year? So that means, again, you've already done your research from step 1. You remember how much it costs to go there for a year. Then you get your financial offer and you compare it to what they've offered you. Did they come close to what it costs to go there for a year? Or am I going to have to come out of pocket for a large amount? I will go ahead and say this offer that this student that you're looking at right now is for a student who applied to a state school. So remember, I said most of our state schools are around $22,000 to $24,000 a year. This student, if we look at it, was offered a little bit over $17,000. So that means they have a gap between the $22,000 they need to go there and the $17,000 what they offer them. The reason why I'm explaining that part is because this is where scholarships come in. Most students are kind of like, why do I need to apply for scholarships if I'm applying for financial aid? Again, remember I said that financial aid is there to assist you in the process. There's never a guarantee for financial aid to cover 100% of what you need. Scholarships come in to fill in that gap that financial aid can't cover. So if I still owe that school, they gave me a good offer, but I'm still off by about $4,000, maybe $5,000 here. What they'll do is when I have an individual scholarship, hopefully that'll be enough to fill in those gaps from what I need to pay the bill. So that's the purpose of applying for scholarships and why it's so important to apply for financial aid, yes, but also continue to apply for individual scholarships, because there may be a school that you really, really want to go to and they don't offer you what you thought that they were going to offer you to come to their school. But if you have your own individual scholarships, that definitely helps you in your efforts to go there. Also, why I mentioned the community college option, because again, you have those first 2 years to take advantage of that if they don't offer you what you thought they would offer you as well. But this is what they look like. Most of the schools give you until May 1st, about May 1st to make a decision. So you get the offers around February and March, and then you have until May 1st to make a decision on who gave us the best offer. Is this the right school for us? You kind of have weighed out all those things, and you have until then to kind of give your final decision. And that's usually how it works at the end. You'll see up here what I don't want you to pay attention to with the offers is that you'll want to pay attention to those words that I mentioned in the very beginning, right? There's different types of financial aid. Not all of it is free. So you'll see this student they were offered a few grants. So remember I said grants were free. That's money that makes you smile because you know you don't have to pay that money back. That's free money. But they also offer this student loans. So remember I said that's part of the financial aid process. So when you see the words loans, you have to kind of have a conversation with yourself on whether or not you want to borrow this money and exactly how much you need to borrow to pay for school. Even though they offer you whatever amount that they offer, you don't have to accept all of it. You can accept whatever you need to pay the bill. So with this student, if they wanted to take some of this loan, they don't have to take all of it in this accept column. They can just put the amount that they actually want to accept. So you don't have to accept the full amount, but you do want to pay attention to what you have, because most students get excited when they get those financial aid offers and they're like, oh, this is my financial aid. And in your mind, you're thinking that all of that money is free, but not all of it is free. Some of it is, remember that self-help financial aid that I talked about. So they're offering you some loans to help pay for it. And then the Merit is a scholarship, obviously. And so that's a scholarship that they're offering directly from this particular school. So this is kind of to show you, to make sure that you're reading the type of money that you're being offered, the amount that you're being offered, and be sure that you're reading any kind of fine print that they have listed on their offers, as far as what happens if I do this, or how long do I have to do this. Be sure you're paying attention to all of that. But this is probably kind of what you're doing all of that information for, is to get this financial offer. And then one of the other money saving tips that I like to give students is, I do like for students to try to have a part-time job while they're in high school and while they're in college. I always put this in here for a couple of reasons. One of them is because when you're in college, you're broke. Everybody's broke. If you're a student, you're broke. Your parents broke because they're helping you pay for college. And so they need you to have your own money, right? And so I like for students to have a part-time job, especially when they're in high school and in college, because in high school, again, it not only helps you to kind of earn some extra money and kind of save to have money while you're in college, but it also gives you some work experience. That's the whole purpose of going to college, is that you are trying to figure out what your career move is going to be. You know, what area do you want to be in? And what part-time jobs help you do is figure out what areas you know for sure you don't want to work in, what areas you know you want to work in. If you want to be around people, if you don't want to work around people, it really helps you to figure out your major for college. And it helps you to figure out your strengths and weaknesses. I like for students to have them, again, for so many different reasons. Remember, in college, I said that some, through the financial aid process, they can offer you a part-time job, which they call work study. But not everybody is offered a work study job. But most colleges have a student employment office. And so you can also still find part-time jobs working on campus. And most college students say that they got connections to their next job from that experience they had working on campus. Somebody gave them a letter of recommendation for an internship or for a job. So I like for students to be connected to their schools, either working part-time or doing something to their schools where they're staying connected that way, so it will help you for what your ultimate goal is. I don't like for students to just graduate with a degree. You need to have some experience to put on resumes, and you need to have some own personal experience just to have that work ethic that you need to either have your own business or work for somebody else. You need that to be successful in life. And so I like for students to have a part-time job. And then one of the other steps, I do want to make sure that you kind of take advantage of free websites. So there is lots of information that's out there for free, which is why I always discourage people. You know, there'll be lots of people that will say, if you pay for this service, we'll help you get through the college process. There's so much information that's out there for free. So these are particularly some websites to go to, especially when you're looking at getting resources about paying for college. Remember, I said CFNC is great because we do house a lot of information about planning and paying for college. Studentaid.gov is great. That's where the FAFSA application is actually located. The financial aid application is located. So they also give a lot of good information about, you know, the funds that they offer through this process. College Board is great. They usually house the SAT, but they also house a lot of really great planning, paying for college information. I like NC Reach because this is for students who have been in foster care. So if you know of a student who's been in foster care or a student who is in foster care, NC Reach is great because they provide money to help students pay for college. So I do want you to be sure that you kind of share that, even if it's not for you, because sometimes the students definitely feel like they don't have the resources to help pay for their college experience, but NC Reach is great for that. Individual college websites is going to be a good place to go. Of course, to go to their financial aid page to learn about their scholarship opportunities, to learn about financial aid. And then if your student still has a couple more years to go, you can still save for college. So you can definitely go to NC529.org to learn about how you can put money aside, even if it's not enough to pay for school. Like say, for instance, they are in high school and you want to start putting money aside for college, you can put money aside to pay for books. You know, they're going to have to purchase books. You can put money aside if you know that you're going to need money just to kind of cover the gap that may be there for students who aren't offered enough financial aid to cover the bill. So if you want to learn about how you save for college or put money aside for college, visit NC529.org. And then always ask questions. This process, I know most people feel like I should know this. I went to college. I should know all of this, but this stuff changes all the time. And one of the things I always say is that I work in this industry and I'll ask questions all the time to make sure that I understand what's changed and what's the same. So don't be afraid to ask questions to the schools that you are interested in or people that you know that may have the answers that you need. And then step 7 is just get ready for the best is yet to come, right? You are preparing for success, for a successful life. So I always tell people just kind of get ready because the best is yet to come. You just have to be prepared for it. If you are prepared for it, great things will absolutely come from your process. And if you are interested in any more webinars, we do these throughout the year through the state that are free. So if you are interested in any topic as it relates to going to college and you miss something that maybe they're offered through this organization, we do offer something through the state for free. So definitely visit our events page. We have some coming up. We're going to be doing an HBCU spotlight in February. So if you want to learn about all the HBCUs in North Carolina, we're going to be doing a panel discussion with all of our HBCUs in North Carolina, so you can learn about those. So definitely go to our events page and register for any of our statewide webinars. And definitely connect with us on social media. We will, of course, provide lots of information about planning and paying for college. So we post scholarship information, we post planning information. So follow us on social media if you are on there. But this time, I'll kind of turn it back over and kind of open it up for questions and see if anybody has any questions about anything. And thank you guys for your attention. So I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Ms. Ruffin. Excellent, like always. We really appreciate it. College Foundation is one of the best organizations in North Carolina to explain financial aid, and Ms. Ruffin did an excellent job. At this time, we'll open the floor for any questions anyone might have.
I do have a question I see that came directly to me, and I'll kind of address it to everybody because it may be beneficial. It says, do you offer advice for graduate students going when it comes to the FAFSA? Yes, so we do. That is the foundation for also paying for graduate school, is filling out the FAFSA to see what the school might be able to offer you as a graduate student. And one of the statewide webinars that we do have coming up, it's going to be in March, is about paying for graduate school. So the FAFSA is the foundation, but we're going to have a panel from different departments and majors to talk about how you can find scholarship opportunities for graduate school, because it is a little bit more challenging to find money for graduate school than it is for undergraduate school. So definitely go to our events page and look out for our paying for graduate school panel that we're going to have in March. But the FAFSA is the foundation for what you'll start with.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Someone asked, how can I access the scholarship workshop? We have that information on our YouTube. I don't know, do we have the link available? We can drop in the chat.
I can find it and I can drop it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, question. If your child is looking for school in North Carolina, would you recommend they apply before the free day? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry.
And I can see it too. Are you
too? Yeah.
Yeah, so she was saying if your child is looking for schools in North Carolina, would you recommend them applying before our free day? So I'll stop here. In North Carolina, we do have a week every year in October where you can apply to certain colleges for free. And so that's what she was referring to, the free day. It's actually a whole week. There are certain schools you can apply to for free. Most of the four-year schools do have an application fee, and they're usually between about $35 to up to $85. So during this week, though, students can apply to certain schools for free. And her question was, should you wait until that week? Because usually that week in North Carolina is usually about the second or third week of October. And so students, of course, have already been in school since August, September. October. So she's asking, should she wait until that week to apply those schools, or is it better to apply before that free week? And so it really depends on the school. There are some schools that do have early deadlines when it comes to scholarship opportunities. So if there are certain schools that do say you have to have applied to their school before, you know, September 30th, absolutely you want to apply before this free week. But it depends on the school and whether or not when their deadline is for their scholarship opportunities. But if it is a school that has an early date, definitely go ahead and apply for it before this free week in October. This is an excellent question.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Ms. Ruffin, I'm just gonna throw a question out there that normally comes to us and a lot of people don't know. What does it mean if I'm selected for verification?
For verification, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things I mentioned or I didn't mention was that, so you fill out the financial aid application, the FAFSA, which I said you can start on October 1st, right? For whatever, before that school year you're trying to attend. So when you send it to the schools though, sometimes you can be selected for a process called verification. So even though you have, yes, you submitted to the school, you've applied to the school, you feel like you've done everything right, but you get a letter from the school that says, we actually need to get some additional information from you. So the verification process is really something that schools have to do every year. It's kind of like an audit for the school. So they, most of the time, they randomly choose at least 30% of the students who have filled out their FAFSA form, and they ask you for documentation of things that you listed on your FAFSA. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. A lot of times with the school, it's a very random process, and you are randomly selected. So, but verification is a process that has to be completed before they can send you a financial offer. So if you are one of the lucky ones that gets a notice from the school that says you've actually been selected for verification, we need to see a copy of your, whatever it is they're asking to see a copy. It could be your tax return, it could be something else. You do want to be sure that you send that into the school, because they won't be able to give you a financial aid offer until they have finished the verification process. So just know that that is a possible outcome when you submit the FAFSA, is that you could be selected for verification before you actually get a financial aid offer. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't mention that wonderful part of the process. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question. If you're not married, does it matter which parent submit the FAFSA?
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to answer that, Ms. Young. It's so that's another wonderful area. And it's also one of those things that may be changing for next year, but I'll let you answer. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it does. So really you want to use the information of the parent that you actually live with. If not, it could be conflict information that's submitted on the FAFSA. So if your parent not married, you really want to use the parent you actually live with. Are there any other questions?
So I want to ask, so there are FAFSA funding or scholarships for parents with children with disabilities, or on any level of education, grad or undergrad? And that's a good question. There's nothing specifically through the FAFSA, but there could be scholarship opportunities. So that's definitely one of the things that I usually tell parents to, for sure, to Google, right? So I might put in disabled student scholarship, or whatever the disability is, whether or not it's physical, or sometimes students just have minor learning differences that can make them qualify for disability benefits, but kind of just Googling whatever that is to see if there are opportunities or scholarship opportunities. We do have a few scholarships on CFNC that are for students who are blind, students who have minor kind of learning differences. So definitely do that, to Google that, and that's a great way to do it that way. There's also a sort of a 529 account they have specifically for parents of students who are disabled. So it's a college savings account, and it's a way for you to put money aside if you wanted to, and it doesn't affect your disability, any kind of disability benefits you may be receiving. But it's a way to be able to kind of put some money aside if you're kind of worried about, make sure you have enough money for equipment and different things you might need. But I would definitely Google that too, just to see what they have. All colleges do have a disability services office. And some of those offices on those college campuses do offer scholarships to their students, but every college does have a disability services office. So I would definitely check the disability services office for that college. Google just whatever that disability is. And then also check to see, again, on CFNC, we do have some disability scholarships in there.
Okay. We have another question. Is there such a thing as your parent income is too much to apply for financial aid? No.
Yeah, right. Right. So that's a popular question. No, it is not. And no, it is not. And the reason why we say that, there are some federal funds that people talk about the most that do have criteria that your family has to have a certain financial need in order to get certain federal funds. But there are definitely, there's institutional money that you could still be eligible for that have nothing to do with income. It may have something to do with that student's major or where they're from. So yeah, it does not matter. We always say we want everybody to fill it out regardless of your income, because you may not qualify for federal money, but you still may qualify for possibly your state money or that institutional's money that is not looked at the same way as federal money is.
I have another question. In a split custody circumstances, will that parent be the one that carries the child as a dependent? That's kind of it's kind of a tricky question. That would be considered as a special circumstance for the financial aid administrator. So you would have to really speak with the financial aid administrator on the special circumstances.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes people ask us all the time, like if, especially when it comes to taxes, should I not claim the child this year so that I don't have to put my information on there? It doesn't matter who claims who on your tax return. So I know we get that question a lot when there is a split household. It doesn't matter who claims who. It really comes down to partly, who is the student living with the most, right? So if they're living with one parent 50% or more of the time, that's the easy scenario, then that's the parent that they use. But we do know that there are situations where it is 50-50. And that's what she was saying, definitely you want to contact the school to kind of fill out or kind of get the right guidance on whose information to put, because that could be different if it's truly 50-50. That the student is, but most of the time it's the parent that the student is living with 50% or more of the
Okay,
time.
are there any other questions? If there's no other questions, just want to thank everyone for attending this evening. Thank Ms. Ruffin so much for taking time. And this is her second year. Ms. Ruffin and I go back so many years together.
We do, do.
Yeah, and she never turned me down. We had to change the dates. She always come through for me, and that I appreciate it. Even though I work in a different state now, but
that's right. Yeah. She left North Carolina. I still give you love, even
and she's an AKA, but I still love her.
I know. I'm trying to cover it over my head.
So we thank you so much. We have dropped in the chat if everyone would fill out our evaluation form for the workshop for us, we would appreciate that. And just a little announcement, Sarah Dale told at the beginning that we do have our chapter scholarship application out. Deadline is April 1st. It is listed on our website. Sarah Dale, you can just list the website in the chat for everyone. And this is for all graduating seniors that live in Cabarrus County. And we also have coming up is our college fair, sponsored by our chapter, which will be March the 11th. And we hope that we can get Ms. Ruffin come back and do a session for us. Is she is she free? Well, I'll talk to her about that offline. But March the 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be held at McGill Baptist Church in Concord. And that is a Saturday for all middle school and high school students. So we hope you come and participate with us on those functions. And just like Ms. Ruffin say, please apply for every school. Try to get the best offer. There's some schools now, especially between the HBCU, there's competition that's going on. So they offer all type of incentive. Like my school now is offering in-state tuition for all North Carolina and Georgia students. So just throwing it out there. So there's a lot of competition going on between the HBCU now and the state schools. So just check and get the best offer. Some schools are starting earlier for award offer this year. And like she said, the FAFSA is changing. As we talking now every day, something changing financial aid every day. So we never know what is changing. So just make sure you keep your eyes, ears open. And then if you need help with your FAFSA, it doesn't matter if you attend that school or not. If there's a school in your area, call that school financial aid office and ask them for help. Ask them to assist you if you don't understand anything, because that's what we get paid for. That's our job. You don't have to attend that school, but that's what we are. We there to help, to assist every student and parent to get the best offers. Sarah Dale, President William, or our Vice President, do you have anything to say to close out the section?
I don't. I just want to thank you again, Timeka, for volunteering to do this for us every year. And thank you for the information that you provided.
You are welcome. And I was trying to put in the chat before we exit, there will be a national college fair here in the Charlotte area, March the 19th. So pretty much all the colleges from California to North Carolina will be at a national fair in March. And so I'm gonna try to put that, I kind of sent it to one person because I didn't realize that, but if you do want to attend a fair, I'll put the link for it in the chat so you can see it is free. But if you want to at least get the day, I think again, it's March 19th. And so you can go to the website and learn more about this National College Fair. It'll be, I think, 2 or 3 hours. And there'll be different sessions. They'll have different college sessions also. So be great and more free information to get about college.
And before our chapter president come forward, also, since you said that, Ms. Ruffin, I also forgot the National Black College Expo will be in Charlotte, in Gastonia at the East Ridge Mall on March the 1st. And I believe the time is 3 to 7 p.m. And they will have over all HBCU schools there also.
Again, just wanted to thank everyone for joining us. Timeka, thank you so much for being here with us again this evening. And I'm going to say this again, just in case I missed it, but our very own will be having our college and career fair on Saturday, March the 11th. And so if I'm just reiterating that, I'm sorry, but just wanted to remind everyone of that. But again, thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to our scholarship committee for providing this opportunity.
Thank you, everyone, and hope everyone have a good night and safe night. Thank you again. And Ms. Ruffin, you can stay on for just 1 minute for me.
Okay.